you also write about kind of managing narcissists in the book. And, I think for a lot of people, there just has to be a kind of a distancing, but I guess there are methods to try to cope with interacting with someone like this.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about these kind of childhood things, you're a kid, kids, I mean, this is, you study attachment theory, anything, and kids survive. I mean, whenever a kid does, kids do what's best for the kid to survive. And then they get out of a toxic environment and get into a healthy environment, and they have to readapt to a place where they're not under threat all the time. But there's nothing wrong with the damn kid. I mean, the kid did what the kid was supposed to do to make it. So the kid did the right thing. They just have to realize that the whole world isn't that bad. So I don't like to, expect anything from children with narcissism, but for an adult, if you're in an enmeshed relationship like that, I'm like, just get the hell out. If it were my kid, I'd just say, get out. It's not worth it. But often we're in situations where we're stuck with people and, at work or, whatever, what do you do? With narcissism, I mean, setting those boundaries, keeping those records, finding allies. So if the person is manipulating you, they're doing it to 20 other people. So you find allies, build up your defense for when that person comes after you. All those things are, smart defensive things to do. The other things that people don't think about as much is you can just manipulate the narcissist back. So you can suck up, you can tell them they're great, you can give them the narcissistic supply they want, and then you become their drug dealer in a way. You're giving them the feedback they want. I got to keep Keith, I'm getting promoted, got to keep Keith around. He keeps me feeling and looking good. So you can do that as well. And I've mentioned this before, and I'm just going to now because is that you can get rid of people by promoting them out. So, you got people you work with who are really narcissistic. You say, you'd be really great at this job in Prague. I think you're perfect for it. And I'm going to help you get that job because you're a winner. So, I mean, you can manipulate people with ego. Because if you're going through life just looking for positive feedback, that makes you a victim. I mean, you're just a victim waiting to be taken advantage of by somebody. You're victimizing people, but because you have such strong ego needs, it's very easy for people to manipulate you too, by giving you those ego needs.
Right. And the idea of, as you said, like you can kind of get allies and tactically kind of, take steps to kind of combat it. To someone who's not familiar with this stuff, they may have a reaction of, well, why don't you just talk to them? And I think that's the fundamental difference here, right? And this is why I used the word game before, because it's like, the chilling thing of it is when someone just doesn't seem to be home. You really are up against a game that's just constantly being played. And as you say, the only thing is to either kind of remove yourself from the game or play it back. And it's inherently stressful because it's kind of a competitive, zero sum game.
It's a game. Yeah. The one thing I think is useful just from talking to people who really, struggle with narcissism themselves is that there's one thing to attack people how great they are. So people are like, I'm a 10, and you're like, dude, you're an 8. It's not useful to have that battle with anyone, because all you're doing is telling somebody they're not as great as they think they are. Well, all you're going to do is make them feel bad. But if the problem they have is interpersonal relationships, if it's love, if it's connection, you can say, hey, you're awesome, but you could really connect more. Your life would be even more awesome if you could have more love. Your life would be more awesome if you had close relationships. And what people can't get with narcissists, this is something I'm just figuring out, and after talking to people after the book, is that, this is why it's not in the book, but you can't get love. Like, you can be really rich and really powerful and a billionaire, but you can't go buy a loving family. So the dude with a loving family always looks better than you. You can get a fake loving family like a lot of these guys do and have Christmas cards and stuff, but you can't really do that. So people know they're missing something. And so I think sometimes that's what people really want, because they want it. And you're like, look, you can give up a little bit of that ego and get some love. And that's maybe a way to work at the problem more than at the, you're better than everybody part. You're not successful or whatever.